Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Corbin Stuckey at Pixel Talk here, and today I'm here to give you the movie and gaming updates that happened Monday through Tuesday. So let's get started with this, and this is going to be accompanied with Modern Warfare Remastered gameplay. I know I suck. It's okay. I'm average. Okay, so the first bit of movie news is going to be coming from SpiderMan Homecoming. We know that Michael Keaton is going to be playing the Vulture in the new movie, but there's another potential villain that's probably going to be in the movie, and this is because of Jacob Batalon's character, who he is playing Ned Leeds. Now, this is kind of a huge maybe because, like, it's just going back to the comics, but Ned Leeds' character was someone who actually led back to the Hobgoblin. Now, this is a very potential thing that could happen, but if you look at the actor himself, he doesn't really look Hobgoblin material-like. He looks just like a regular high schooler, and I don't know, he just doesn't have the physique of the Hobgoblin, so I don't know where this is going. I don't know why he has his name. It could be going into a totally different direction, and we're looking too into it, probably. But, you know, it's just really interesting how he has this name, and the comic book character, you know, turned out to be this character in the comics. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I don't know. But like I said, there's potentially going to be, you know, maybe a second Spider-Man Homecoming villain. I don't know. All right, and on to horror movie news. We've got some news from Fede Alvarez and Sam Raimi. It appears that they have a story, and they're in talks of maybe making a sequel to Don't Breathe. Now, Don't Breathe was a movie that came out this year about the blind guy who was kind of an ex-veteran, and he was hunting these kids in this house. These kids broke into his house, and he actually kicked ass, even though he was a blind guy. It appears that they have a story in place. Sam Raimi loves this story. They haven't said what the story is, but Fede Alvarez said that it's not going to be the same story as the first one. They don't want to rehash the first movie. They feel as though that's Hollywood. They don't want to do that. At first, they didn't want to do a sequel, but since they have this new story in place, they really want to do a sequel, and I'm really interested to see how this would play out. But it's really interesting to see that they have a story. They want to present it into a sequel, so I am on board for Don't Breathe 2. Let's do this. Also, in movie reboot news, it seems that Gavin O'Connor, the director of Warrior and The Accountant, has finally gotten the rights to the Green Hornet franchise, and he's going to be rebooting the franchise into a new movie. Now, if you guys don't know, The Green Hornet was a movie that came out in 2011. It was also a reboot of the show, but instead starred Seth Rogen, and it was a very campy-like movie. It was almost kind of like a 60s, 80s style Batman flick, and it had some of that Seth Rogen humor, and it just didn't do too well. But it seems that Gavin O'Connor has gotten the rights to this movie, and he's going to be making a much more serious concept of the franchise, and that's something really interesting. He's actually been trying to get the rights to this movie for like 20 years, and it's just really different to see how dedicated he is to such a franchise as Green Hornet, you know? It's not that big of a franchise. I mean, it's well known, but like, it's not like anything like Marvel or DC oriented. It's just the Green Hornet. So it's really interesting to see how dedicated he is for this franchise to be made, and it's, you know, weird that he's been like wanting this for like 20 years. So, I mean, if you want to make this movie and you want to make it good, then go right ahead. Also in Marvel news, this is kind of movie and TV related. The Inhumans is not going to be a movie. It's actually going to be a TV show. It's going to be released in fall of 2017. However, the first 2 episodes are going to premiere in IMAX theater, which is really different. And I'm also really excited to see this because, like, I can only think of, like, the only time that I've witnessed anything like this, it's with the Star Wars Clone Wars series. They had a movie that came out, and a year later the show started, and that's kind of like the only time that I can recognize that that sort of thing has kind of happened, where like a show started at like a movie theater and then it progressed to TV. So that's gonna be really interesting, and I kind of agree with this kind of way that they're doing it, because the Inhumans started off on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They kind of hinted that they were doing the Inhumans, and this makes me want to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. even more. As I said, I haven't really watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's my less favorite Marvel MCU kind of thing. But, you know, because they're doing so good with Ghost Rider, and they're finally doing this Inhuman show and not a movie, it seems like it's something I'm going to have to be, like, getting on board with, so I will definitely be probably watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. whenever I get a chance. I'm just in school right now, but yeah, for sure, I'm on board with the Inhumans TV show. They just got to do a good job. I believe that Marvel can, though. Alright, so on to gaming news, and this is actually pretty insane that this happened, but it's kind of understandable at the same time. So this kid was playing Watchdogs 2, and he sent pictures of one of the rendered characters, and this was like kind of maybe a stripper or something. It was just kind of like a naked woman who had crotchless panties, and he shared these photos on Twitter because he thought it was funny. It was funny that, like, he came across this on Watchdogs, but apparently Sony found that this kid did this on Twitter, and they banned his account on PlayStation. This is freaking insane. So if you guys like come across anything on Watchdogs 2 that might be inappropriate, because it's a rated M game, of course you're probably going to be coming across anything that's inappropriate, especially when it's a game that involves hacking and breaking people's privacy. So if you like come across anything, don't share it online. Don't share like photos or anything like that, especially just the decency portion of that. Don't share like naked pictures on Twitter. I mean, I'm surprised the Twitter account wasn't banned. But knowing that something not connected to Twitter, that like his Sony PlayStation account was banned, is pretty eye-opening. That just means, like, you know, Sony is watching this stuff. They know about our accounts, even though we're posting them on different accounts. So that's really weird. So just don't post anything from Watch Dogs 2 nudity related, and I'm sure your account will be fine. But as far as like Sony, like finding out what your account is through Twitter, like finding out what your Sony PlayStation account is, that's kind of creepy, and that kind of scares me that they're overlooking and overanalyzing that stuff. And on to some crazy video game news. It seems that Telltale Games is making a Marvel game. This was announced back last year, and apparently that Marvel game is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. A production list was just released, and it seems that they are doing this. Telltale Games is doing a Guardians of the Galaxy game that's going to be released in 2017, which makes total and absolute sense, actually, because, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is coming out in 2017, so it just makes sense to release a video game around the time of the release of the sequel. And Telltale, I believe that, like, they're really good at story structure and the environment and just kind of the world that they present in their games. And Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those, like, you know, Marvel franchises that, you know, it's its own world, really. I mean, like, the MCU is its own world, but, like, Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those, like, few movies that stands on its own in terms of, like, the environment and the world around it, because Guardians of the Galaxy is, like, you know, in space. So to be making a video game in space and around these characters sounds like a Telltale production, really. So I'm really excited. I'm really glad that they're finally doing Marvel projects. And Guardians of the Galaxy sounds like the first, like, you know, thing they have to do. So I'm on board. Let's do this. So yes, guys, that was all the movie and gaming news that I presented to you today. Comment down below what you think of all this news. Like the video, please share it, and please subscribe to Pixel Talk if you haven't yet for more movie and game news, trailer reactions, and gaming content. And speaking of trailer reactions, I did a reaction to Beauty and the Beast like 2 days ago, so if you want to check out that reaction, here it is right here. Thank you guys so much. I am Corbin Stuckey, and this is Pixel Talk.